Alright, now we got some audio. Welcome back.
Did it go away?
Hello. Alright, now we got some audio. Alright, testing feedback. Testing feedback is good. And we are 100% ready to go. Alright, we'll be live in, 21 minutes. Welcome to the show, Viva Todd Vegas. Is there anything anyone wants to talk about before we go live? You know, since we're here. Oh, we're so tired, Todd. We are so tired. Freak Show's kicking our butts. It's a wild ride. Christina, you're a little choppy. I'm going to actually do a little test on your camera here.
Wonderful.
Where you moving to a new location, Todd? Oh, you're staying in the same town? Oh, I hate to say it, but we have to kill the fan.
No!
I know.
That's the worst news ever.
I know.
Why, the background noise?
Yep, it's registering every single time.
No!
Yep. Christina, move.
Move?
Interesting. Okay.
I'm stuck still on my screen.
I know. That's what I'm working on. Well, that's good. Moving to the biggest street. An upgrade. We love upgrades. That's very cool. Very, very cool. Alright, let's try. Christina's gone.
No.
How about now? Do me a favor, Christina. Let me know if the blue light on your camera goes on.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Yes.
So many media files all over this computer. Interesting. It's got the blue light still?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not getting enough juice. Off?
Off. 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 On.
I don't see you yet, though. High, wave high? Yeah, you're frozen.
Yay.
She's frozen. She's frozen. Christine is frozen. This is annoying. I don't know what. I know we saved a lot more files here, but bandwidth shouldn't be this bad.
Off. On.
And you're moving!
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Celebration. Would you like a zip tie?
I would. I'd love one.
Would you like another one?
Nope. Zip ties. So much fun here at Trapdoor. Oh, I zipped my zip tie. It's useless now.
Do you want another one?
No. I don't want to waste zip ties. We need zip ties. So, Todd, are you, we were searching for more zip ties yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah, we have lots of them. Lots and lots. Todd, are you putting the same games you had in your building in the new one, or new games? Todd? He's probably searching for zip ties. Yay, we saved the situation. So exciting. Customer happy. That was the lady confirming that we're all good for the 12th, and she's super happy now.
Okay. Also, Todd just answered you.
Oh. Let me get back to Todd. We had really limited space at the old location, only one game, but now we can go up to 4. We're working on a new one. So, you know, Todd, we're actually going to talk a little bit about this later on in the show, as far as like escape room grosses and, you know, revenue from ticket sales. But essentially, you know, one thing we have noticed is that to a degree the games cannibalize each other. Having enough, I don't want to say content, but having enough population in your demographic, you know, location is a very big part of that. But typically when a new game comes out, especially, that's the only thing that books, and then the old ones, you know, will book whenever you have overage. But you know, you could only have so many prime time slots, so usually, like, you know, all your games will book for 8 o'clock, but who knows about the other time slots. So just something to look out for with 4 games in one location. Everyone wants to play what's new and popular. Also, guys, let us know if the fan is an audio problem or not, because we are currently, our building has 3 giant AC units, and currently only one of them is operational. We had some problems over the last week with, you know, probably associated to the heat wave that we're experiencing here in New Jersey, but one of them is getting fixed later today, and then the other one is scheduled for hopefully next week. But the fan is the only thing keeping us alive right now.
Yeah.
So if it's terrible, we'll kill it. But if it's not, please let us know. 14 minutes and counting until the show starts.
We got Sam coming. He can barely hear it. Todd.
Oh, good. Hello, Samantha.
Hello. Question.
Yeah.
This pipe. Fabric above it or fabric below it?
Below, and then that's where we'll connect in to go into the ceiling.
10-4. Copy that.
Oh. Now my daughter is climbing up on the TV stand so that she can be eye to eye with Fancy Nancy. So I guess I'm mounting a TV some point in time over this week.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I didn't want to mount that TV. It's a curved screen, so it's it kind of does like curve around quite a bit at the end. So I didn't want to mount it, but I guess I have to mount it. This whole 2-year-old thing keeps you on your toes. 12 minutes.
Yep.
Ha ha ha. My zip tie is firmly tight now. Firmly. So what else is going on in the world out there?
Heat.
Lots of heat. I've heard that. I have heard some things about the heat. One of our team members got married over the last week, apparently.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Chrissy. She doesn't want anyone to know, so...
Watch your parents watch this.
Do her parents not know?
She said we're the only ones that know.
Is it going to be a puzzle that's unveiled over... Oh,
I
God.
have no idea.
That's bad. That's bad. Someone's going to be very angry when they find that out.
Yes. Yeah, they
Why
just
would
said
you-
it was literally just like trapdoor that knows.
Why would she do that? Oops.
She'll never know.
What's the chances her parents are watching Puzzle Talk? None. I'd kill my kid. Oh, you're not going to make it to the conference? Yeah, I mean, that's why we're not going. Freak Show will have just opened, and I actually, as many of our viewers know, I have a 2-year-old at home, so I promised her that Dad will be home for a week after Freak Show opens. So I'm going to take like 5 days off and just chill and be Dad. I'm sure I'll be working when she's asleep, but from home. Maybe next year. If there is a next year, we'll see. Attendance at the Room Escape conference has been dropping dramatically year over year. And I'd love to see them argue that, because the last time we were there, it was dead. I still see massive value in the conference for newbies, but I think the amount of... It's actually kind of funny, because there's been so many new people, but I don't think they're attending the conference. They probably should. But like I've said in prior videos, awesome for networking. 10 minutes till showtime. It is hot up here.
It's very hot.
Yeah, it's definitely getting smaller. I was actually reading a post from Brian from Cracked It where he was talking about the size drops. And, you know, absolutely accurate. But I still think the Room Escape conference needs to be like revitalized. Yeah, Haunt Transworld I think is where it's at the moment, but I think that, you know, it almost should become like an escape room Comic-Con, where you've kind of got like your whole H panel where like the big companies come out and unveil what they're doing in the following year, and, you know, make it more of a spectacle event, because everyone's going to network anyway. So you might as well kind of, you know, dive in on that. But on the same time, companies need to start upping their game on some things. Like, you know, most escape room trailers are really bad. So we could get into a point where like people could unveil a trailer for a new game and it's actually like a good trailer, and you know, new locations and stuff like that. Like, you know, the news is fun to talk about, and if you're an escape room owner, you are interested in what other people are doing to up your game and stuff like that. So I think that's the direction they should at least take half of the show.
Yeah.
You can still do seminars and stuff for the newbies, but I do think the panels and stuff like that would be really fun. 8 minutes.
So would you want it to be geared towards the owners or towards...
It already is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if you did stuff like that, it might start getting enthusiasts.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how you would kind of save it, is if you can get a bigger audience to it.
Yeah, you got to diversify beyond strictly the people opening businesses. I think that would be a good way to go. I'd love to hear Brian's point on this. He's probably busy, not watching today. He's like, I have better things to do than watch Tone. In his grumpy military voice. I love you, Brian. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is back on, if anyone watches. I think it's season 6. I watched 3 episodes last night. Basically, we've been working around the clock on Freak Show, But yesterday was my wife and I's 18-year anniversary, so I called it quits at 5, got home at like 6:30. And what do you want for our anniversary, honey? The lawn cut. I haven't been home in like a week and a half. So my daughter hopped on my lap, and I've got like a 60-inch blade box riding mower. So the thing does like 25 miles an hour. So she hopped on my lap, and we cut the lawn together. So I got to spend some time with her. She thought it was like a roller coaster. It was her first time on it. She's always been afraid. So she actually hopped on last night. Then we had dinner together. Then my daughter went to bed, and we watched comedians in cars getting coffee. So, yeah, that was fun. A lot of talk about the Bill Cosby situation because the show hasn't been on since he went to prison. So, he had Eddie Murphy on. They were talking about that. Then Seth Rogen on, and they were talking about that. And now I'm on the 2-parter with Ricky Gervais. And we started part 2 of the Ricky Gervais episodes, but we were falling asleep. So, and it was our anniversary, so, you know. But, yeah. Interesting stuff about Mr. Cosby. Apparently, he was a total jerk-off to, like, a lot of comedians for a long time. Eddie Murphy talked about how absolutely, like, mean he was when Eddie Murphy was coming up through the comedic ranks. How is our chat rate 0? We literally have, like, a whole conversation with Todd here. 5 minutes. Alright, we'll be back in 5. We're going to get prepped. young and old, to the greatest escape room show. This is Trapdoor Escape Stream's Puzzle Talk, and I'm Tone, here to talk all the latest escape room news and rumors and stuff like that. And with me today is Christina.
Hello.
Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Christina and I are working on Freak Show all day, but we kind of had to skeleton crew it because now, this is the final full week and weekend. Next week we have the weekdays, but we open Freak Show that weekend.
Yep.
So Friday, August 2nd, and then onward. So kind of hitting the crunch time. So we got to keep the team moving. So Mike is not going to be on Puzzle Talk today, but we got to get back to work. So we're going to jump right in. If you want to join in the conversation with Christina and I, by all means hit the chat room and we'll call it out and respond on air. So here we go. First topic of the day, our follow-up. The Stranger Things alternate reality game is complete. And what a alternate reality game it was. One, I thought this season of Stranger Things was hands down the best season of all. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
I absolutely love this season of Stranger Things. Now, I will say this. The season could not have been this good without the seasons that came before.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot
so
of
much build-up. But as a result, I thought it was amazing. I had a friend online on Facebook that was like, oh, how typical, the villains were Russians. It was the 80s. It was the Cold War. Of course the villains are the Russians. Go watch Rocky IV. But I almost feel like they need to do a tie-in where, like, the ending of Rocky IV, like they never addressed that in the future Rocky movies. Like, did Rocky end the Cold War with that boxing match? Weigh in. I know there's actually a YouTube video somewhere online that's like a fake future after that movie. But anyway, so oh, that's nice, and I love Trapdoor sign she put up. That's amazing. And Todd totally agrees. So, Stranger Things did an alternate reality game. What's an alternate reality game, you ask? Well, it's kind of how Trapdoor got its start. Alternate reality games are online narratives that basically play out as if the real world is the story. So, essentially, it usually takes place over a series of interconnected fictitious websites, public events, all kinds of stuff like that weave together this entire narrative to create this, this, I guess, enveloping experience. There hasn't been any in a while. Most popularly done by 42 Entertainment. Years back, I think the most notable ever being the Why So Serious campaign for the movie The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. But 42 Entertainment also did some really cool stuff for like 9 Inch Nails and well, look them up. 42 Entertainment. You'll find little case studies of all their games. But I didn't actually look up who created this Stranger Things alternate reality game, but it was done surprisingly well and really cool. I played through it, but our schedules have been so crazy that I don't remember half of what I did. So I went over to ArgNet, ARGN.com, and they have an entire recap. So if you want to follow along with us and kind of talk about it, Michael Anderson from ARGN.com wrote this up, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit in retrospect. So essentially, this campaign started with a commercial for the Starcourt Mall, which is the mall that's like the main location of this season of the show. And there's a Scoops Ahoy ice cream parlor in there where one of the main characters, Steve Harrington, works, and a newcomer to the show. And Baskin Robbins created pop-up Scoops Ahoy locations. And that's kind of where like this game launched. And that was kind of what you would call the rabbit hole of an alternate reality game, which kind of leads you down the path. And without kind of like spoiling things for Stranger Things, specifically this season, what the season was really about was the Russians were trying to open a new portal. Because they were unsuccessful opening a portal in Russia, they come to America to the town of Hawkins, where the show takes place, because a portal was already open there in previous seasons, to reopen that portal. Maybe that would be easier. So the alternate reality game is about all these tasks to close portals in other places in the world. The way they do that is a little hands-off. You're kind of hacking email servers and looking for context clues throughout emails, and then sending characters fictitiously to those locations and, shutting down the portals. You only kind of hear like the feedback of like, success, you did it, thanks guys, let's find the next one type of thing. But it's still pretty cool to participate and do some hacking and things like that. We did an experience called Fool's Gold, which we're recreating for Trapdoor Escape Stream, that was in a similar situation where you'd hack emails and use that to like connect with characters via email and stuff like that, and influence outcomes in the show or the experience. So from there, they did this one kind of cool segment where you were navigating the characters through a blueprint map of a location and avoiding traps and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. We do a little segment of that in our Area 51 Puzzles and Quirks theme, where you have to like navigate the team through Area 51, which is cool. It was a lot of fun, to put it bluntly. I really hope that there's more to this. I do see potential for this to connect to the next season of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So it'd be really cool if, they're already, I think, jumping into production on season 4, which will be the final season, within the next couple months. So it'd be cool as the production rolls along, the alternate reality game keeps expanding. Because they have everyone's email addresses now that participated, to kind of further bring us into the world and get us to the launch of the final season. I think that'd be really cool. So I hope that is kind of the direction it ends up going. Have you heard anything about this, Christina?
A little bit, mostly just from what you've talked about, but I actually missed it. I heard about it after the fact.
Well, what's kind of cool, if you go to argn.com, you could see, and I'm sure when we do our Puzzle Talk minis, we could put a link in the description for this mini. But you can play through it.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
It is replayable as like a single-player experience, but technically the whole game was a single-player experience. That was one of the things I loved about like 42 Entertainment's like Why So Serious campaign, was that it very much was multiplayer. Like thousands of people were playing simultaneously, which was really cool. This was built to really be a single-player game.
So like in the other one, did you interact with other people?
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. There were message forums dedicated to it where people were all interconnecting, and scavenger hunts where people were going out together, and like one of the things was from the Dark Knight movie. There was the whole like getting Harvey Dent elected as district attorney, the guy who becomes Two-Face, and the entire election was part of the game.
Oh, neat.
So like people had to go out campaigning and post photos at landmarks and all kinds of stuff. So it was cool. It was really cool. So if you played the Stranger Things alternate reality game, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to discuss it and chat further. And, like I said, I hope they continue more of it for Stranger Things, and I'd love to see more companies working these into future products. I think they do really, really well. Which, speaking of corporate projects that kind of segue into escape rooms, Comic-Con was this past weekend.
Yes.
San Diego Comic-Con, and the one everyone's talking about is the Brooklyn Nine-Nine escape room that was on the Comic-Con showroom floor. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Anyone watch it? I don't.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the show.
It's basically a detective show where they kind of have different cases. It's a comedy. It's really funny, but the way they did the escape room is actually really cool, because they have an episode each season basically called The Halloween Heist, where Peralta, who is the main detective, and Sergeant, I'm blanking on the name right now, but Holt, they kind of compete to try to get this WWE Championship belt, and it's
Okay.
like called the Halloween Heist, and they both are trying to get it by midnight. It started off as a thing between Peralta and Holt, and now it becomes kind of the entire office is trying to see who can get it. Each year, new people get brought into it, but the escape room is basically you're competing in the Halloween Heist and trying to get this belt.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
pretty
very immersive and goes along very well with like the game and the story.
I also heard like your game master is an in-room comedian.
Yes, there's a comedian who is kind of directing the game.
So that's really cool. Todd agreed it's a great show.
Yes.
So you have company. But yeah, I think the concept of what they did, just setting up the office room, similar to like South Park setting up the classroom, escape room, recreated. You could explore the desks and things like that. And having the comedian as your kind of on-ramp is really cool too, to kind of get the flow and the comedic tone down. So that's cool. I know there's several other escape room oriented elements to Comic-Con. The Walking Dead does one pretty much every year. I'm not so sure anyone cares anymore about The Walking Dead, but they're tripling down because The Walking Dead now has their Rick Grimes movie, which a teaser trailer premiered at Comic-Con that showed absolutely nothing. It was literally like, I think, a drawn scene. And the comics are over, so we'll see how long the shows keep going. It's one of those like American Idol syndrome things where when its ratings plummet, they're still higher than almost every other show on television. So we shall see. They lost me though the season when Negan was locked up. I watched all the way through to Negan and the battle and Rick winning, and then that following season where he's locked up, it just I was losing interest consistently, and then Rick was gone and it just fell apart for me.
I didn't even get that far. I got to where they were trying to find the whatever.
Terminus?
Yeah, that was where they lost me, when they were just wandering the woods for forever.
That show had such like this concept of like let's divide the entire group and spend the whole season bringing them back together just to redivide the group.
Yep.
And I got so sick of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are just rebooting, Resident Evil 2 Remake Escape Room in Universal Studios Japan. So let's see here. Yeah, Todd. I actually didn't mind the fact that it was becoming more about people fighting people, because that's the breakdown of civilization. I understand that. I'm okay with that. It was just the stories were getting mundane and consistently the same story. Like we were just saying, it was so formulaic every year. And shock value deaths, and I'm kind of over shock value TV. So Resident Evil is remaking all of its original games. And so far the remakes are pretty good. The remake of the original Resident Evil game was good. Resident Evil 2 being remade is good. I hope they kind of quit after 3, because then you're going to start getting into like Resident Evil 5 and 6 are terrible games. So I hope they don't go there unless they totally rebuild them ground up as far as puzzle content. Because I think they learned that's what everyone was playing these games for, was puzzle content. Everybody knows Trapdoor loves Resident Evil, specifically me. QRZ in the Poconos is very much Resident Evil 2, or Resident Evil 3, kind of a combo. Inspired by greatly. We have our own original story, but a lot of it, you can draw parallels. It's completely original story, completely original characters and content, but very inspired. So brings us to Resident Evil as an escape room. As anyone who watches Puzzle Talk knows, I played an officially licensed Resident Evil escape room based, around the time Resident Evil 7 came out. And we played it with David and Lisa from Room Escape Artists, and it was horrible. So, I don't exactly have any great, aspirations to play another Resident Evil escape room. But it's at Universal Studios Japan. Maybe it'll be better. Who knows? If you play it, please, by all means, comment. Let us know what you thought. Because the one I played sucked.
Is it made by the same company? The one... Is it
No,
still...
usually the one we played they licensed the game to an actual escape room company,
Okay.
and that escape room company made it. But from what I understand, it fell so far as it traveled. Because as things were breaking, they weren't properly being fixed.
Oh. Yeah.
Not to say that the game, like, even by its design, was going to be amazing anyway. But it was completely falling apart by the time we played it in New York. And not for nothing, but New York's like right in your top 3 biggest cities for play in the world. You got to make sure that the New York copy is in pristine shape.
Yeah.
And it was not. So many parts of that game were flat out broken when we played it. So I'm in no rush to ever play that again. Box office numbers, especially New York type stuff, something we're going to get into. I've been waiting a while to kind of have this discussion, and perfect segue for it is the movie box office. Avengers Endgame is officially number 1 of all time at the box office. No, that is not adjusted for inflation, in which case it would not be in number 1. But, you know, everything costs more these days, and less people go to the movies these days. So Avengers is officially statistically king. It only took a decade of Marvel movies as well as a re-release for Endgame to take down Avatar. Now, will Avatar 2 reclaim its spot? Not a snowball's chance in hell, in my opinion. But that's not what we're really here to talk about in this conversation. What we're here to talk about is escape room box office. What is really the line in the sand? What is the goal to achieve to when it comes to escape room box office? Because it kind of seems right now like for blockbuster films, if you're not breaking $1 billion, you were a flop. Now that doesn't, that's obviously also budget related. Like if it costs $50 million to make a movie and it goes on to make $500 million, I'm sure they're happy. But as far as like trade publications go, if you're not breaking $1 billion, why bother?
Yeah.
It almost seems like, I know there was even talk that like if Spider-Man Far From Home didn't break $1 billion, that Sony was going to consider that a failure to not keep the character moving through Marvel. So that's kind of the movie line in the sand. Did a little bit of research because I was interested to see where Broadway shows would list. And for a Broadway show, a successful run in a 1-year period is about $55 million. Basically doing, give or take, about $1.5 million a week for a very successful Broadway show.
Wow.
Yeah. $1.5 million a week. Escape room owners out there, are any of you doing $1.5 million a year? And keep in mind, that's not your total company revenue. That's one experience. Because, like, for example, the Aladdin play, $1.25 million a week. That's one location. Broadway. Now, granted, different demographics, different areas. I'm sure if Disney's Aladdin Broadway show was playing in Wisconsin, it probably wouldn't be doing $1.2 million a week. However, it doesn't really matter. Anyone, if they have the revenue to open, could go open on Broadway with an escape room. Maybe someone has already, for all I know. There's definitely escape rooms on the Vegas Strip. So, where does that land? Time to start writing a Voltron musical. I'm not going to go see it. I have no interest in Voltron. Sorry. But I mean, realistically, where is the goal point? Where is the line in the sand? And this kind of keeps going back to the discussions we've had in the past about where do we group escape rooms? Are they on that level, or are they on the level of a paint and sip?
I mean, I think you also have to look at the ticket prices. Like, Broadway musicals are hitting, like, about $200 a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot different from... And plus, the escape room, like, costs vary so much across the country that it's hard to kind of put one number on the entire country.
But why? Why, Christina?
I mean, I'm sure Broadway tickets in like Wisconsin cost less than they do at New York Times Square, but
You know, like why are we the only people charging $50 a ticket? Why isn't there anyone charging $100 a ticket? Why aren't people charging $200 a ticket like a Broadway
it's
show?
not that popular yet because it's still growing in popularity, but it still isn't completely like my parents had no idea what an escape room was.
Comment in, people. I'd love to hear some opinions on this because we have competitors in the Poconos charging $10 a ticket. We have competitors in New Jersey that charge $20.
Pay for what you get.
Sure, but there's also that problem element of people that still don't understand that we're different companies.
Yeah.
Trapdoor has gone into a little bit different pattern where we're now marketing each game as its own location, flat out. Like if you go onto Google, the Greatest Freak Show Musical Escape is listed as our Morristown location. It's not Trapdoor, it's the Greatest Freak Show 2-hour musical escape. If you look us up for the Poconos, you're not going to find Trapdoor Poconos, you're going to find Cure Z from Trapdoor Escape Room. You know, it's the theme is taking center stage, and we're letting the company be more of a production credit because it's making it easier for us to market and make it more of an event production, and that's helping us warrant the price because people, you know, are seeing it differently. Oh, Big Booty, welcome back, Big Booty. Another big reason as to why Broadway is more expensive is because of the time of the experience. Normally, Broadway shows are 3 hours, and escape room is normally around 1. Fair. But even if you take the escape room's price and multiply it by 3, you ain't anywhere near it. Because you are so much larger and your experiences are longer, but people group you together in their minds. Sure. Yeah, and if you take, you know, you're moving your, beyond your roots as an escape room. But like, for example, if you even take Cure Z or Freak Show at $50 a head, and you move that to a 3-hour show, you're really at that point talking $75 a ticket. We're still not there.
Yeah. No one's gonna pay $150 for an escape room right now.
So, you know, it's like, how do you get there? Because realistically, you know, no one has come along yet that's going to be that multi-billion-dollar escape room company. It's probably going to be us, but no one's there yet.
Yeah.
And no one's anywhere even close. I would argue that there's no one even touching that range yet. You know, we haven't, quite honestly, because as soon as we opened Cure Z, we were jumping into development on Freak Show like mad crazy. I haven't looked at Cure Z's Pocono numbers to that extent yet, but when Cure Z was in Red Bank, Cure Z did about $250,000 a year. And I remember going to the Room Escape conference and everybody was like, oh my god, because no one was even remotely close. $250,000 is a drop in the bucket to theater. They're pulling $2 million a week, some of them. Most of them are more like $1 million a week. Few of the lesser titles that are not like as well known are like $600,000 a week, $700,000 a week. And then the other element is how many people could play an escape room at a time. You know, we can do 16 to 20 people at a time for Cure Z or Freak Show, but most escape rooms are like 4 to 6 people per hour.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I feel like there should be a much higher value on a privatized experience like that. Something that you can experience with so few people should be worth more because you're paying for exclusivity. What do you think about the new Saw Escape in California? They charge $50 to $95 a ticket. It's a studio featured escape room. So yeah, I agree with it. If only it was good. Actually, there's somebody. Andrew, go get Sam.
Yes. I will do that.
We need Sam for this conversation.
Yeah, she's gonna have some opinions on this.
I'm sure she will. Samantha, who did all of the costume and wardrobe for Freak Show and is one of our headline team members in Red Bank, she actually played the Saw escape room in Vegas. So let's bring her into this discussion. Now, my opinion stems from the fact of having talked to other people who played it and also hearing about how the game is facilitated, run, and how they handle their reviews. Which is basically, you get free merchandise for 5-star reviews. It's exit through gift shop, and they give you free merch at the gift shop if you give them 5-star reviews. Because apparently they're hiding like serious amounts of 1-star reviews.
Oh.
And they're killing it on ticket sales. I know that. But again, it's a studio-run game. They imported all the sets right from the past movies.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
That is neat. It's almost like a museum of old Saw movies.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that the game is set up in timed increments. So, like, you go into Section 1, you have X amount of time to solve the puzzles therein. If you fail, you're still ushered to Part 2. You're not, like, kicked out of it or forced to hang out. You're just ushered into the next zone, and then the next zone, and the next zone, and then you're out. And unless you go back to Vegas, you don't see what you missed. We're talking about the Saw escape.
Yeah.
It came up in discussion. So, so everybody, Sam, you may remember her as Tina the Mermaid and Costume and Wardrobe on Freak Show.
Hi again.
So here she is back again. Sam is a Vegas-obsessed individual. You'll
Yes.
notice her Chris Angel shirt that she's currently rocking at the moment. And she's going back to Vegas again in August.
Yes, at the end of August, I'm going back for a couple days.
So tell us all about the Saw escape room.
Well, I'm a really big fan of the Saw franchise, so when I heard that they were building it out there, first I saw at Comic-Con, right before they started building it, they had like a preview of it, which unfortunately I didn't get to do, but everyone said it was cool. So then when they built it, right away I booked tickets for like the Halloween season to go out there, and I absolutely loved it. But like you were saying, there's 7 different rooms that you go through. Each one I think has like a 10 to 15 minute time limit within that room.
Right.
If you fail it, you still go throughout the game so you can see everything. But I don't remember if you had to bring anything with you to the next room.
No, you don't.
Okay. Yeah, that I didn't remember, but the set design was awesome. It's actually Tobin Bell's voice over the loudspeakers.
Yep. Benefit of being a studio project, you actually get the actors.
Yeah, it was really cool. You have a scare guy in the room with you, and then at the very end, he's locked up in the bathroom, which is where the first one takes place. So.
Which was actually funny because when Frank and I wrote up the experience for the show Dexter, I wanted access to the cast.
Oh, that would have been cool.
They were terrified of having that cast members actually go live in any capacity.
Really?
So, what if they don't stay in character? It could flub the whole show. Not really, but yeah, we couldn't get Michael C. Hall or Jennifer Carpenter or anybody connected to the experience. So,
That's unfortunate.
everything had to kind of be very hands-off main characters. And Homeland was the same thing. Which, I was a huge Dexter fan, not a huge Homeland fan, so I didn't care so much about Homeland. But a lot of what we wrote for Homeland you could see in our Puzzles and Corks national security game, streaming live now on Trapdoor Escape Stream. So all in all, though, you really enjoyed the Saw escape.
I loved it.
Are you going to play it again?
No, we're going to try and do the basement. Just me and one friend are going out there this time, and he wanted to do another escape room because he did the Boogeyman. He loved it. So he had said to me, let's do one while we're out there, and I said, okay. So I just looked up, top-rated escape rooms in Las Vegas, and the basement was the first one that came up.
Cool.
So we're planning on doing that one when we go.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
I saw a whole video walkthrough of that game, unfortunately, online, but you'll have to let us know what you think when you come back.
There's a part 2 there as well. There's where you're in the basement, and then if you play part 2, you're inside the actual house.
Oh, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
they have a sequel right in the building.
Yeah.
But there's another example of a game that's been running for years, but because of its location, they're able to keep it running.
Yeah.
Okay, where we at on fabric? Did we run out?
No, we did the whole room.
Awesome!
So now it's ceiling time.
Okay,
So
cool.
burgundy.
Yeah. No, not burgundy. The flat red.
Oh, the one that I used for the curtain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So, that's kind of our take on the subject. I'd love to hear all of yours. But, where do we set the mark? And, as a result, are other companies just not charging enough? Do we need to start, as an entire industry, pushing people to start raising the prices? Because people are paying for exclusivity. And, they don't know what they're getting, so to speak. So we have to start, I think, actively as an industry educating the customers a bit more, because Freak Show's selling out, so we're not having an issue getting $50 a ticket, and QRZ has bookings today, so we're getting it there, but I do think the whole industry needs to start upping the price points, and if they don't feel like their content is worth the price point, then maybe they got to start thinking about upping their content. So that's my opinion. We'll talk about it in future episodes. So next up, continuing our intros of characters from The Greatest Freak Show, which will be streaming live in August on Trapdoor Escape Stream. So if you're not in the Morristown area of New Jersey, or tri-state area really, because plenty of people are traveling out, but you can stream it live and participate that way. So our character highlight this week, Slice, played by Trapdoor's very own Joshua Pete. Josh is actually an independent wrestler as well. He works with us on weekdays and wrestles on weekends. One hell of a performer. I have to say, quite honestly, Josh became kind of the MVP performer of Freak Show, which was really cool. We brought in all these people that actually were professional singers and professional performers. Like, for example, Nick is a professional fire breather, our fire breather Scorch, which we'll probably spotlight next week. But Josh was not. Josh is not a professional singer. He's not a professional performer, and with the exception of the indie pro wrestling, but that's a very different concept. But Josh came in and actually could sing, and beyond that, performed his butt off. So if you come see or stream the show, you'll see him as Slice, our sword swallower. And in order to play that role, you could literally see there's a sword in his mouth. He had to learn sword swallowing. Now, a little behind-the-scenes element, we did use trick swords for Josh.
You mean you didn't shove swords down his throat?
No. However, it didn't mean that it still wasn't slightly dangerous, because the trick swords are basically roll-up blades. So kind of like the old 90s slap wrist things that would wrap around. But it's still an aluminum blade that's got some stiffness and is sharp on its edge that wraps around.
Did you actually want it? Because it's downstairs.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay.
They can see it in the photo. But the way Josh did it, he could have sat there and held it so that his tongue or mouth didn't touch the blade part, but he unrolled it with his mouth, ladies, and kept it literally no hands, and then pulled it out without touching the blade, and literally kept the retraction going with his tongue and his teeth. And he could have sliced his tongue to ribbons doing that.
Yeah.
So I was incredibly impressed. But most of the performance work is you can only shove a sword down your throat so many times. It's body contortion and movement, and with the blade down your torso. So he does fun stuff like doing a sit-up with a sword down your throat. All kinds of weird body contortion movements while he's still got the blade. So that's part of the fun of seeing that performance and seeing how he does it. And beyond that, he does have a musical number. He's part of some ensemble pieces in the show, and then he has a solo performance. I had this idea right off the bat with the character of Slice that he would kind of have this gargly Cajun voice because he's constantly shoving things down his throat. That shouldn't be there. So when Josh and I were first talking about the character, he was like, well, what do you want the vocals to be? And as we've talked about before, I had to actually perform every song with the composer so that he can compose the music. And I had come up with this like, my name is Slice, I swallow swords. And Josh looked at me really strange and was like, I can't do that. I was like, no, come on, we can get there. And the first renditions, he sounded kind of like Kermit the Frog. But like with a raspy voice, like, it's not easy being green, you know, like kind of thing. And it took us a while, but he got there. And, you know, so like his song's chorus is like, slice, by slice. And, you know, he got right in the range of where we wanted it to go. But what was cool is like there's moments where his character has to actually hit a note and hold it without cracking out or, you know, or breaking key. And he did it. It sounds really good. Even some of the professionals couldn't necessarily like perfectly hold down some of the notes without like 90 takes. And Josh just, boom, nailed it. I think we did the least amount of takes with Josh out of everyone in the show.
Nice.
So, highly impressed with the performance of Josh as Slice. And you too can see his performance by buying your tickets now to The Greatest Freak Show, available at freakshowmusicalescape.com. Or you can go to trapdoorescapestream.com and you can get your tickets to, or get your membership to stream it live. You've seen some of Josh's work.
A little bit.
Or at least heard it. You heard it
Yes.
yesterday. What'd you think?
I didn't even think that was Josh, so I'm very impressed. That does not sound like Josh at all.
Yeah, I think it's actually, and it's my favorite song. It was the first one we composed.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a really cool number. While you're in his trailer, you get attacked by Slice, and the number comes in during the attack, which is really cool. And things are happening to the beat of the song. I don't want to spoil, but like it's really, really a cool part of the whole show and experience. You know, like we've been talking about, Freak Show is really part show, and you're participating in it, which is really cool. So, you know, come see Slice. So next week, you know, this week, just like last week, this week and next week are going to be kind of shortened shows because we have to keep Freak Show moving. But next week we're going to be talking about minimum wage and escape rooms.
Cool.
Because I know I've been seeing on the escape room groups, especially on Facebook, that a lot of owners are panicking over minimum wage increases, which will kind of factor into our price per ticket discussions. So we're going to jump into that, and we'll have Mike here next week. Mike hates big business, so we'll be having a nice business discussion next week. So tune in live, same time, same YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next week.